Test, test. Test, test. All right, everyone who is here. All right, we are going to go ahead and get the kiln ready, make some final adjustments. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. You see the kiln we got set up here, and we'll get a little shot of what we're working with today. So we have the kiln set up, ready to load. We got the computer to see all your guys' comments. We have the cones that we're going to be using to check for temperature. We have our little dolly set up with our posts, cookies to put the pieces on. You can see some old melted cones there. Some more clutter we have over there, another mini kiln used as storage right now. And then we are loading all of these pieces here on the shelf. And then we are going to move on to the pieces that are on here. And then finally, if we have space, more pieces here. So we have some refire pieces as well. So we'll see how many we can get into the kiln, because this one is a Paragon and can fit a good amount. I'll say about at least 50 pieces on average, sometimes more if they're small. But we'll go ahead and get them loaded. So if you are watching, don't be afraid to say hi, ask questions. I'm more than happy to help you folks with any of your burning ceramic questions. All right, so first off, we're going to go ahead and set up these cones. So if you haven't seen these things before, these are called cones, and these are used to make sure that your firing is accurate in terms of temperature. And when you get them, they're usually color coordinated and they have numbers on it with the number of the cone that you're firing to. So we fire to a cone 5. So this is the cone that we're going to use. And after the firing, if all goes well, it looks something like this. So it actually changes color because this is more or less glaze formulated to be pressed into a solid form. And what we want to see, an ideal firing, at least for this kiln, is the cone should be bent and the tip should be perfectly straight and in line with the curve and not tucked in. So the last firing, this one was a little on the hotter side. So I played with the temperature. Hopefully we can get a more accurate cone 5. So we got the cone 5 and cone 6 readings. Actually, we're going to do a cone 4 instead. We want the lower temperature. And I put them on these things called cookies, because they do get stuck. You can see the outline of the last cone that was placed on here. And so they turn into glaze basically, and they'll get stuck to whatever they touch. So you want to put them on usually a bisque piece or a cookie with kiln wash. And so that's what we have here. And I'm going to set it up roughly in the middle of the kiln because I want to read the temperature there. So I have my cone 4 and then my cone 5, and I want it somewhere where they won't get stuck. So I might need to get a new cookie because this one's kind of worn out. So let's just do that. All right, so here's the new cookie. And we'll put the 2 cones next to each other. And we'll go ahead and start loading all the pieces that will fit inside this level. And this is the, I think, 4-inch. And so I fire every piece on a cookie if I know or if they look like they may run. So pieces like this, bottom's clean. I still put a cookie there. So in case they melt down or the glaze is too low, they'll hopefully get stuck to the cookie and not the kiln. And this is what it looks like when a piece melts down and gets stuck to the cookie. You can see the glaze dripped, it got stuck. And this piece was actually right here in the last firing. And so when I popped it off, this glaze that got stuck here got stuck to the kiln shelf, so I had to pop that off and grind it. I didn't refill it with new kiln wash yet, but I just gotta make sure to put a piece that won't run there. All right, so let's keep loading. This is a pretty cool piece. We have 2 figures. I think these are, I think this is Pele, the Hawaiian volcano goddess. And I'm not too sure who this is, but kind of cool. The hair wraps around and it creates a little plate. So, pretty cool piece. And I want to avoid that little drip spot that got stuck, so I'll put it right here. All right, so mind be gone. What makes it drips and get stuck? Great question. So basically glaze is in the liquid form, and when you apply it to your piece, when you apply it, it gets dusty. And then what the kiln does is it heats up the glaze, which is basically minerals, and it turns into glass. When glass turns molten, it actually starts melting and running down the piece. And the only thing that will stop it is if the kiln cools off enough, or it will run off the piece completely. So when you think about it, this is basically liquid glass that when the kiln fires it, it melts and it keeps running down. So the cookie is there to help catch it in case there's a meltdown. And sadly, the cookie was too small. It did melt down a little more, so we had to break it off. And I do have some grinding devices we can use to clean that up a little later in the post. The goods pottery, yes, these are all student work. These are all high school students ranging from level 1 all the way to level 4. And no cookie on the sculpture. Yeah, so the reason why I didn't put a cookie on this one, 2 reasons. One, it's a very wide piece. The cookies I don't have are big enough, and if I put 2 here, because it's not completely flat, it will warp because the heat underneath it will basically cause it to shift during the kiln firing. And I know that student applied brush-on glaze, and our brush-on glazes in this class are very stable, so I know that this won't run. So to kind of pull it out, she did wipe a good height because this is a very stable glaze. Normally I have them wipe it a little higher, but because I know this is super stable, it won't run. As long as it's not applied too thick, it will be good. Now, I might be jinxing myself, but I did more or less kind of watch her apply the coats here and there, so I'm pretty confident that should be good. Yeah, so the good pottery, running glaze, too thick, overfired, or too thick and overfired. Yes, so this specific piece was a combination of too thick and it was at the slightly overfired. So things happen. All right. So we got another pitcher, matcha bowl-ish piece. And then nice little texture from chattering. Pop a cookie on it and load. So the goods pottery, do you do pottery professional, as a hobby, a little bit of both? Okay, another one. This is a very runny glaze. Cracking means that it's slightly thick. So I warned the student that it might run off the piece, so we're gonna throw a bigger cookie on this one just in case. And I gotta learn my lesson. If I feel like they might melt down, let's not put it so close to the edge of the kiln. Double handle piece reminds me of my kids' sippy cups. And I gotta admit, loading a glazed piece kiln is one of my least favorite things to do because every time you touch a piece, it always gets dusty and kind of comes off your fingers. And you can't have them touch to each other or it will melt to whatever it touches. So it requires a lot more finesse and time. Unloading a glaze kiln is always fun though, seeing the results. Retired from teaching pottery 20 years, or after 20 years. Awesome. Any advice for teaching high school? I'm in my 10th year now. Hello, Ben One. So this one's a really cool piece. They brushed on the glaze for the handle, which is a ribbon, put wax resist, and then dipped it into a yellow bucket glaze. Are you mixing glazes in-house? For our bucket glazes, yes, we mix it. We have been buying from Laguna for the majority of our glazes. We have some Amical, Potter's Choice, and then we have some glazes mixed up from scratch. And then we have a lot of brush-on glazes and underglaze. So we have a good variety of glazes to use. So a lot of the ones from the bowls are the bucket glazes that we've been using to dip pieces in. Dusty hands. So this one, what's it called? This one is a matte glaze, and they brushed on bottle glaze on the outside. They used vinyl stickers to get clean, crisp lines on one of the colors and then peeled it off. So, very cool pattern. Really excited to see this one. The student took a lot of time on this. And because it's a brush-on glaze, I know it's stable, so we don't need a cookie for this one. Add CMC to your glazes. Oh, I have not. I did hear about it, and we actually just purchased some CMC this past year, so I'll give that a shot. From your experience, does it help harden the glaze to reduce the dustiness? It's a cool little inverted piece. Brushed on some flux glazes, so this should create some cool melting. And pardon the airplane noise that you guys are hearing. Got a cool whale planter. This was actually made pre-COVID by another student during distance learning, and they just wasn't able to finish it in terms of glazing. So now it gets a second life at a new home. All right, some cool wax resist designs. Wax resist has been really popular. mix it in 1% dry. Okay, I'll give that a shot the next time we start to mix glazes for the next school year. When you add the CMC, does it change the rate of drying? Like, does it dry a little faster or slower? Another hand-built bowl. This one might be too tall. Yep, too tall. Okay, so strategically picking pieces that I think that will fit in those spots. There you go. All right, and hello to everyone who's joining us. We are loading up a glaze kiln, and so now I'm looking for smaller pieces to fit the spots that have space. It's got little teacups, and I know the glaze is pretty stable, so we'll use that to fill without cookies. Another little tumbler cup. This one I will add a cookie because they brushed on glaze on the top, so they could have some runniness. And now it's like a puzzle. Got to figure out where to put pieces to maximize the kiln firing. And honestly, this is a really loose pack. So hopefully my next layer will be a little tighter. Another cup. And this has some brushed on glaze. You can't really see it. So transparent glaze with a floral design. This will probably be my last one, and then the next shelf. All right, next level. There we go, looks good. 1% won't affect application much. You can add into wet glaze, but need to melt in the microwave. Video on my channel. All right, the goods pottery. I am going to go and check that out later. Single firings. Oh man, that is something that I'm a little. Well, high school I wouldn't do single firings. I'm sure you probably feel the same because of all the issues that might come up. But I am a little too nervous to try a single firing. But thank you for the tips. I definitely will try the CMC the next time we mix up a batch. All right, next height level, we'll do the 5-inch. So whenever we load kilns, we measure the piece by inches and put them in according to their height. They always have to be slightly shorter than the height of the post. And then I'm setting multiples across because these kilns aren't the kiln shelves aren't the same level. Sadly, this is going to use up a lot more space. Right, and then we're loading up this really big chip and dip bowl that a student made. Just gotta check the bottom real quick, make sure it's glaze free. So I always wipe it just to be safe. This will be a big cookie. And this piece, this glaze, I know has some issues with popping off, and I gotta get rid of it, but people love it. Chip and dip bowl, very hefty. So I'm gonna put it in a spot where hopefully more cookies can be applied to reduce any drippings. There you go, barrier around it. Gotcha, I will move it out a little bit. Thanks for the tips. All right, next level, 5-inch. Might have to do a split level on this one. All right, pretty cool hand-built octopus bowl. All right, this one's gonna go painstakingly slow because my 5-inch level was unsorted, so I kind of have to go hunting now. Okay. Cool box with designs on it. Wax resist designs. The bow mug and the octopus. Yeah, those are my favorite two. Really cool ones. And some more are coming up on the higher levels. I think you may like. What cone and schedule? We are firing to cone 5 and no special schedule. We just do a standard firing. Let's make it simple. So medium speed. And always, sometimes there's some glaze left over from students, so depending on how I feel, sometimes I tell them to wipe it. If I'm loading and I need to just get it done, I do it for them. All right. So apologies for the very slow, painstakingly loading. Medium with no hold. All right, got a cool duck or swan with rests to put utensils. Glaze got a little thick on the inside. Outside doesn't look too bad. So just to be safe, let's double up the cookies. So the Goods Pottery, where are you located? And do you still do ceramics as a second career? This one's really cool. Flowers on a hand, or flowers on a wheel thrown pitcher. Really excited to see this one. Can it fit? Yes, it can. All right, there's the other taller bowls. Of course, it's on the other shelf. We got some more hand-built bowls with nice floral design. No cooking needed for this one, since the glaze is wiped quite high. And then solid color on the outside with some flux brushed on the inside. Another loose kiln pack. Always pains me to see it like this. And then you folks may have seen this from the other video. So this is a refire. They wanted to put eyes on the gecko this time. Put that back in. We're located in Hawaii on the island of Oahu. So local high school here. Yeah, we have a lot of glazes. Bucket glazes in 5-gallon buckets. I want to say we have like 20 bottle glazes that we can brush on, another 20. Then we have like 10 plus underglazes, and they can color mix that. And students are still asking for more colors. So they always want the latest and greatest colors. All right, let's see, I think get one more piece in. This one's a little shorter. Another loose kiln pack. Okay, should be able to fit one more in this spot. So the game of Tetris begins. All right, we'll just leave that space open in case this has some issues. We'll push it forward actually. Okay, there we go. Kind of loose, but gotta do what we gotta do. All right, there's a lot of flat pieces, but I still have a lot of tall pieces as well. So we'll see how many tall pieces we can get in here. Okay, so let's see, can it fit? We got the first interesting tall piece. This was an abstract eccentric project where they had to make something that exudes something that's eccentric. So we have a toilet that will eat you. Another slab vase. That one shouldn't need a cookie. Hopefully I don't regret that. Too tall. I've been waiting to fire this guy. Hand-built modular vase made out of 3 cylindrical cones, and then a slab attached on the inside. Super cool, but I guess you have to wait. This one has a bunch of engraved designs, really hard to see, but covered in transparent, so this is going to be really cool to see when it's done. Even though it's not going to, shouldn't run, I'm just going to throw a cookie and might be able to squeeze in a half shelf here, a split level. So we'll do it on this side. We'll see how many pieces I can fit on that side, especially because we have a lot of short pieces that need to get fired. So if you ever have kiln shelves that break, save them, clean them up, use them as half shelves. All right, now this next piece I'm about to grab is a level 1 student. She spent probably 2 months on it just to create. And so we have a movement and it's just so clean. Really excited to see how this one turns out. Okay, cookie just to be safe. We have a sun and moon. So this was a opposites project. Hopefully it can fit. Ooh, a little too big. Just have to save this for the next firing. A little fox. All right, now for the short level. Finally getting these flat pieces in. Plates were also very popular this year. And that will be one of the next videos, how to throw a plate using rolling pins. Okay, and no cookies for these since the edges were wiped pretty high. All right, let's get another half shelf in there. Alright, so keep stacking this. Let's have so many flat pieces. Another two-tone plate. Downside about these half shelves is these pieces take up so much space. Little monstera. Cute little duck pond. All right, 2 more pieces. Do I have any small ones that can fit? That's always a hard part, looking for the ones that can fit in the space. All right, 1 more piece. We'll do a refire. Nope, that's too big. All right, I guess that's it. All right, and hello to some new people coming in. Hopefully you enjoy watching the slow process of building a kiln. And if you guys who are watching like what you see, don't forget to subscribe and help this little channel grow and get a little bigger, make more quality videos. And we will continue on the short stack. So that one was a little too far out. There we go. All right. Let's load up all of those pieces. So the very trendy bubble plates thrown with a hollow donut. And pardon the noise outside. We have some students jumping on a moped and about to head home. All right, we got a sushi plate. Put your sushi here, show you here to dip. It's always a puzzle with these things. This one's really cool. They use slip to create these little textures and then hand painted everything. The amount of patience these students have are amazing. If only I could do the same. A little heart dish with a little indent to put a container. I believe the student was going to put jewelry and trinkets in it. All right, find a few more small pieces to fill. Got a cool shell. Love the texture on this thing. How many classes of pottery per day? Depends on our schedule. I have 6 classes that I teach. This year it's 2 level 1 classes, and then I have 4 advanced levels. So those are levels 2, 3, and 4 all combined in one class. So the most I would see in a day, depending on the schedule, would be 5 classes. And the students have 7 classes here at our school, but teachers will only teach 6 because we have 1 prep period. All right, small gap. Always pains me when I can't fill it. I don't think I can. Let's see if these guys will fit. All right, so this student made little keychains, so little domos. We got a pink and a brown, the little metal loop. And they will have all the space here because I have nothing else that can fit. I just gotta make sure they don't fall. All right, that feels pretty good. There we go. And then next level. That has some rock to it. Yeah, so what's crazy is since it's the end of the year, we're looking at our budget, seeing how many or how much things we can buy. And so since we live on Oahu in the middle of the ocean, our shipping cost for our clay jumped up a lot. So our shipping cost tripled from the previous year. So now we're almost paying more for shipping than for the actual cost of the clay itself, which is always kind of sad. But I mean, what can you do when you live in the middle of the island, or middle of the ocean? All right, go back to 3-inch so I can get one more cone. All right, and let's keep getting the pieces in. All right, we got a 2-tone bowl. So a lot of bowls. This one has a brush on flux, really tiny bottom, so let's throw a cookie on that for good measure. Doing some shifting. There we go, maximize the space. We have a pug mill, but we don't have a clay mixer. And with the cost of everything rising, investing in one to buy dry mix does sound more appealing. But as a one-man teacher who's loading, firing, mixing everything, adding mixing glazes to my to my list of duties seems a little overwhelming. Really cool floral mug. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully prices will settle over time. What pug mill? We have a Bluebird. I can show it in the video in a second after I load this level. The Peter Pugger was slightly out of our budget when we were ordering, and kind of wish we waited because the Peter Pugger is one of my favorite pug mills that we have in some other studios here. And the Goods Pottery, do you have your own studio in your home that you work out of? This piece, sadly, I totally forgot. I probably could have fit it instead of some others, but we have a bird container. So level 1 student with pinch pots. So we have 2 for the body, 2 for the head, clothes pinch pots and attached together. Very cool. One of my favorite pieces. Okay, that looks like it can fit. Ooh, nice. That's a perfect size for a home studio. We have another classroom on campus, and they have a really old Peter Pugger. I think it's like the one that can do 50, can hold 50 pounds of clay at a time, and that one's at its end of its life. So when it sadly passes, we will get the newest Peter Pugger. A nice flower vase or lotus bulb. All right, almost done with this level. Little cute creamer holder. All right, what can fit in that space? I think this is too tall. I'm pulling from the wrong shelf. Another wax resist throne piece. This one we have an iron luster glaze. Oh, I didn't even see that design in the middle. That's really cool. The current, it's probably like 20 years old, maybe 25. So that Peter Pugger is getting there, and we had to fix the motor a few times already. But yeah, we teach all our kids how to reclaim and recycle clay, just so we don't have to run the pug mill the whole time. Oh yeah, sorry, Toby. A pug mill is a clay mixer. So I'm gonna show what that is in a second after I finish this load. I can't really fit it. All right, another space. Okay, here we go. And we got one little Hello Kitty to fill that space. Can we find one last piece? I might just need to move these cones instead. So we have a little jewelry holder with some wire to support it. All right, game of Tetris now. Thank you. This is like the one thing I find so satisfying. Thank you for the stat comment. This is one of the things that I always like, my ADHD and neuroticness just makes me want to try to pack as much as I can, maximize the kiln firing. All right, there we go. And perfect little space for the cones. All right. Oh, that was stressful. Yeah, I gotta make a bigger bead holder because this has been popular this year. Students never really made that before. Just double check, make sure the clearance, don't want any pieces touching, they'll get stuck. All right, on to the last 2 levels. Can it fit? Oh, perfect. A nice little chip and dip bowl, wheel thrown, dipped in a nice white. All right, this last load should go pretty fast. More thrown pieces. Oh, totally neglected the inside shelf. So you got some wider, shallower bowls from some first-year wool throwers. Shucks, too tall. Oh, thanks for the kind words, and thanks for the tips that you're leaving throughout the stream, the Goods Pottery. But yeah, my mentality for ceramics is quality over quantity. I rather students and myself spend the time to make one really good piece rather than 3 mediocre. And in terms of classroom maintenance, it's so much easier to fire more quality pieces because there's less of it, then less clay to recycle and maintain, so it's kind of a win-win for everybody. All right, almost done. Just need a few more pieces to fill. All the other ones need cookies and they're a little too tall. Looks like we'll go with some shorter pieces just to fill. All right, and the last one. What can we fit in here? Okay, that's my height marker, has to be shorter. And looks like everything we have is slightly taller. All right, let's get some big bowls in there. $3 per pound. Is that? Yeah, it's pretty close. I think with the new shipping, it's probably going to be closer. Maybe not $3 just yet, but I'm going to say at least $2 per pound. Oh, this one's too short. What am I doing? Getting all confused. All right. A few more pieces to finish it off. And I gotta admit, this was one of my looser cone packs, or kiln packs. Usually I can get it a little more tight, but this is really weird sized pieces in this this round. A lot of flat pieces. I gotta focus on next firing. All right, there we go. And that is the firing, or that is the kiln. So let's go and check out 50, oh, I think so. Yeah, this thing fires at least, I want to say 50 on a good day. Well, there we go. Nice, somewhat tight pack, got loose in some levels. And then this shelf was pretty much jam-packed. So you can see the taller ones I couldn't get around to. So that'll be the next firing. And looks like I got that kiln right here to fire next. Possibly this little baby kiln we gotta load and fire. But yeah, looks like we did a good amount. And this top shelf was completely full. So that one's a little lower. So now time to reorganize. Got some refires I gotta take care of. And you can see the gaps missing. So a good amount of flat pieces were filled. All right, and then the pug mill. So very cluttered, but Bluebird pug mill. The hopper's here, covered in a plastic bag, de-airing chamber, and then where it extrudes out. Thing is, comes out as like, I think 4-inch wide cylinders. So I like it. It de-airs, it does a great job. I just wouldn't mind a Peter Pugger, so I'm gonna put it in the hopper and just let it go and come when it's mixed. But anyway, thank you to those who stayed around to watch. The Goods Pottery, thank you for staying around so I didn't have to talk to myself the whole time. I'm going to definitely go ahead and check out your channel. I want to try that CMC mixture and see how the dustiness will work out. And for everyone else, if you guys like this kind of stuff, I'll probably do one more live stream this week. I gotta glaze some pieces and fire them. But other than that, thank you for watching, and if you like this stuff, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream. Have a good one, everybody.